Hello and welcome to Spindle TV. My name is Laney Shaughnessy. How are you all doing tonight? Hope you had a blessed and happy Thanksgiving, and I hope everything went well with you and your families. Not too much drama and all positive, more than negative, but we know how life is sometimes. So I'm glad you all could join me, and I'm glad you all made it through the holidays to come back to join me. So we are going to be kind of continuing the holiday project topics and everything, but this time a little bit different. We're not doing platters or things for parties and stuff anymore. And we're going to talk about some decorative designs for like door hangers and stuff that you can do for the holiday spirit, for either your entry door or bedroom doors or what have you. The main focus of this not really is the projects. It's going to be we're going to be welding text so we can cut out text, free floating text. We're going to be working with tracing images and being able to kind of set toolpaths for those image carvings and stuff. We're going to be working with layout and design. So all kinds of different things. We're going to be talking about V-carves and pockets and all kinds of stuff. So it's not necessarily the topic or the subject or the project that you need to focus on. It's the lessons within the topic. My computer is that's got the programs and everything on it is going through a restart. It did that right halfway when I was going to get started here, so I'm going to sit here and just talk for a few minutes while it's booting back up, and then we'll jump right into the program. But first off, let me say hello to a few people: Keith Kessler, Doug Fushi, Chad Jones, David Heineke, Roger S. Good to see you guys. Charles Hall, how you doing? David Krause, Brooks Martin, Roger Brown, Kool-Aid, how you doing? And those individuals are the members of Spindle TV. Thanks for being valued members. Welcome, Gene Kilmer, Troy Pritchard. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Sylvia Klosterman, always wonderful to see you. David Flores, how are you doing, bud? Kevin Wilkerson, Mike Taylor, Midnight Sun Woodwork. How you doing? I think this will be your first time kind of joining us, is it? Unless you're joining us under a new name. Midnight Sun, cool to see you there. Jeff Smith, Ronnie Probert, and Micah. How you doing from Paris, Micah? Thanks for joining again. Micah, I think what was last week or last time was your first one and everything. And Dave Pingle, how are y'all doing tonight? Thanks for popping in and joining. I appreciate that. And my valued members, as always, I appreciate you guys. Y'all are keeping the channel rolling. All right, let's see here. Give me just a moment. As I said, my computer that has the program and everything had to do a restart, and it decided to do a little scan disk to check one of my drives and check and clean up some miscellaneous stuff. It's done. It's rebooting right now, and then we'll get into the program as soon as it fully reboots. But I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. And like I said, simple topic, door hangers, right? You think, seen one, you've seen them all. And that's, kind of true, right? There's all kinds of different designs you can do. But the approach to the design, the way we're going to weld the text to be able to cut out letters and shapes and everything, all of that stuff is, good information to know that you can apply to other projects that are more along your cup of tea, right? So, all right, let's see here. Let's get into the computer is booted up. So let me open up the software and I'll go in there. Steve Rice, welcome from the land down under. How you doing, man? Wow. Little bit of a time difference for you. I don't know if it's early or late for you. I can't recall. I have a customer that's in Australia, and I always forget what the time difference is between us. All right, let's see here. All right, we are ready to crank it out now. So let me get you over to our proper location here. I am going to be on camera 2, and then I need to get down out of the way. Let's see here. Will put me right about there. All right, all right. Okay, so let's take and look at our job setup first. Now this job size could be whatever size that you want. It could be made out of hardwood. It could be made out of plywood. It could be made out of plastic. You know, anything that you want, whatever you want to do. I am going to be an MDF is good. Now MDF is good if it's kind of an indoor door hanger more so than an outside door hanger. If it's an outdoor door hanger like on your main entry door and there's a potential of getting wet, then you want to use a material that, you know, can handle those, you know, moist conditions, and also a finish. You know, think about your finish as well too. And lunchtime. Okay, cool. So around noon. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for popping in on your lunch break. But MDF is good for indoor projects. Really great. It's paintable, sandable, and all that stuff. And that's good and all. Plywood is good, and then hardwood panels and stuff. Now, for this, I'm going to be gluing up some panels, and they're going to be 20 inch by 20 inch, and I'm going to go 3/8 of an inch on the thickness. We have a quarter there. Let me change that to 3/8. 3/8 on the thickness. Now, I'm going to be cutting through on these different materials and everything. I'm going to be cutting all the way through. And whenever I'm doing a cut-through project, cutting all the way through my material, I want to kind of protect my wasteboard from getting beat up and everything. So I'm going to set the job to work off the machine bed. My Z0, I'll zero out on the wasteboard, so that way when I'm cutting all the way through my material, whether my material varies slightly in thickness, I'll still cut all the way through. It's kind of a guarantee. I'll cut all the way through because I'll cut down to 0. And I won't beat up my wasteboard. I won't spoil my spoil board, right? Working off the machine bed kind of gives me those two advantages and everything. So I'm going to set up for machine bed for my Z0 position. Bottom left corner for me for my XY0, but it can be center, could be anywhere for you. And we're going to be with a very high with our resolution there, since we're not really working with 3D models tonight. So we're going to click OK. And you'll see I've got a lot of different things on the screen. We're going to talk about each and every one of those. And we're actually going to move a few things off the screen, and we're going to start from scratch. Let's move that over there. And we're going to focus on, let's talk about our text and things. So when we are cutting out text that's going to be free floating, basically, there's no backboard or anything at this point. Now, it could be text that we're hanging on a wall, you know, in a kid's bedroom or a living room or something. You've seen those live, laugh, love type signs on that wall art and stuff. We could be cutting out those letters. We could be just cutting out something to hang on a door, or, you know, or somewhere, you know, sit up on a mantle, kind of freestand. And when we have that kind of situation, we have to kind of connect those letters in some way. Now, that live, laugh, love wall art that you see and everything, a lot of times they'll have the L's, you know, L, then the IVE is kind of cursive, you know, grouped together, but the L would be separate. And sometimes they have them where it's all connected together, right? In this case, we're going to be, I'm working kind of around the design of a door hanger. So I'm going to have a silhouette of some shape cut out, and then I would like to have some text glued to the top of it. So I'm going to have a 3/8 inch silhouette of a shape, and then I'm going to have a 3/8 inch thick word, you know, cut out, and I'll end up gluing that to that silhouette, so it kind of creates a layered effect, if you will. The silhouette will have some kind of decorative, you know, paint or color or something, some kind of theme. There's a great video on YouTube where a guy does a welcome sign with a reindeer, and his wife makes the reindeer sparkly. They paint it gray for the back, kind of the base paint. They paint it gray, and then they add a little bit of glue and glitter, if you will, so that the reindeer is just like a sparkle. So when light hits it, it really looks really cool. And then the welcome word glued to the top of that, and the welcome word just painted a solid color. I think they had something like red or something, you know, holiday red. But very cool stuff. And so we tend to, when we're working with the text and everything, we tend to need to connect that text together in some way. And so what I'm going to do is, let me turn on my mouse so you can see where my mouse pointer is. Give me just a second here. Okay, so you should be able to see that green dot on the screen. That's my mouse. There's lots of fonts that you can use for this. A script type font is sometimes best when it comes to connecting those letters and things, especially for that wall art and everything. I've went to dafont.com, DAFONT.com, and I've downloaded some script calligraphy type fonts. And one of them that we're going to be using tonight is called Billy Scription. So that's what you would search on dafont.com, Billy Scription, SCRIPTIAN, and that's the font that I'm using here. And so for this, let's just assume for now that it is the welcome sign. Let's say that we were making a welcome sign. I'm just going to type out the word welcome. And let's get that centered on the board here. And you'll see that I have overlaps on the ELCOME, right? And the W is kind of on its own. Now, when we are welding text together in the newer versions, I think they started the weld in like 10 or 10.5, where we could, with the text selected, we could hit the weld tool, and it will ask us if we want to keep our original text or replace it with the welded text, depending on if we have like an original and we're working with layers and all. If I click replace here, then you'll see that the ELCOME has now been welded together. Those overlaps have been removed. So if I hit Control Z to undo, you can see where those overlaps were. And if I hit Control Y to redo, you can see where they're removed, right? And everything. Now, for the most part, that's exactly what we want. We want these letters to be connected because we're going to be cutting them out. And the W, kind of want that connected as well too, because if I was hanging this on a wall, then heck, I probably could just hang the W and then the ELCOME, you know, and I could, you know, have it separated and stuff like that. But it's, you know, it's hanging on the wall as a piece of wall art. If I was putting it on some kind of backer, I could do that as well too. In this case, there is going to be somewhat of a backer, but the word welcome might not, the letters might come off of whatever the silhouette is in the background, right? So I want to connect the W to have it as part of that. So what I'm going to do, if you look at the E here as it comes off the M, so as the E comes up, it comes in around. Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm actually going to go into node editing on the text here, and I'm actually going to right click and cut the vector on the E right where it connects with the M. And I'm going to take this letter E here, and I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to hold down my control key, and I'm going to drag this over, and I'm actually dragging a copy, and I'm going to overlay it on this other E. And let me go ahead and use my arrow keys on my keyboard to fine tune it. I'll get that bumped over. And let me hold down the control key while I'm using the arrow keys, and I'll kind of just get it tighten right. It's just close. I'm not trying to get it exact and everything. I just want it close. Because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to utilize these two curves here that to allow it to connect to the W. So that way there's some kind of consistency in my cut, right? Or in my look. Now I could have very well drawn two lines to connect the W and the E. And I could have just eyeballed where I wanted these two lines to go. Use my scissors, trim everything together, and I could have been done that way. I didn't have to copy the letter E over. But this just kind of gives me a similar flow as to what over here. Now notice that my E is missing over here. That's because I held the wrong control key down. Let me control Z this back over to where that E belongs. And let me grab it again. This time I'll hold down the correct control key. And you're like, Laney, how can you hold the wrong control key down? Isn't there only one control key? There is, but I have two keyboards. So on me, I was holding the control key down on the wrong keyboard. Okay. All right. So now, just like what I was saying before, I can have kind of the similar flow as this E on this, on this W in here. So let's go ahead now, and now that we have that, let's kind of connect it together. So I'm going to use my extend tool, and I'm going to extend this line to here. Okay. So that way it connects. And then I'm going to take the scissors and kind of trim away this line. But now notice that my scissors aren't quite trimming. I noticed this earlier and everything, and I was like, well, why isn't it trimming? Well, that extend tool was supposed to extend my line to the W, but it didn't quite make it. It extended it out, but just shy of where it should have connected. So let's go back into node editing here. And I'm going to use node editing, and I'm just going to drag that node down so there's some overlap. Just drag the node down. Try to keep it, on its same path, but just kind of drag it over. This way I can come in here and trim away those two lines and connect everything together there. And so now that I'm connected here, I can then come over and connect there. And once I've done that, I can now come in, and with my scissors still, I'm actually this inside line, I'm going to trim that, and that's going to trim all the rest of the E away all the way up to a certain point and everything. And then at that point, let's do the top of this here, same thing. So that inside line, I'm going to trim that away. Okay. And then from there, once I've kind of connected those two lines, I can come over here and select the rest of my E, hit the delete key on the keyboard because that was the overlap, the copy and everything. So I can hit delete on the keyboard to get rid of that. And then I can zoom in to the center of my E and just grab this outside line and get rid of that. And I'm back to just my normal E, but now I have a connection there, right? So that's just my way of kind of connecting those letters together. But like I said, I didn't have to go through all that. I could have just drawn two lines and made a little curve out of them just to, whatever looked good visually to me, right? And then just trimmed it together and been done with it, right? I just wanted to do this to kind of give me that same look. Now, I did cut this E from this M right here, so I need to go over to the join tool, and I do need to join those two vectors back into one. Okay, so that will connect that back together now. So there's the word welcome, right? Let's look at another word here. You saw it earlier on my screen, kind of a ho, ho, ho type thing. So it could be Merry Christmas, ho, 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 let it snow, jingle bells, whatever you wanted it to say, right? So let's go here and let's go ho, 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 ho. And let's take that ho, ho, ho. I'm going to size it down just a little bit. Hold that shift key and size it down on the board. And now my H and O are overlapped, right? So when I weld these two these together, the HO, HO, HO are going to be connected, right? But they're not going to be connected within themselves, the HO, 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 right? So for this, I'm going to basically kind of move some things over. Let's start with the middle HO here. And let me come over here. And I'm going to use the arrow key on my keyboard, and I'm just going to bump it over. And what I'm looking at is when I come over here, I want to bring this top line over to this top line here, just somewhere in that realm right there. And I'm going to take these scissors and I'm going to trim those together. Now I've got this little kink and kind of this thin area that doesn't look quite right, so I'm going to go into node editing mode next, node editing, and I'm going to select that. And I'm going to delete this inside point, and then I'm going to delete this point as well. So what that does is it kind of creates a line connecting these 2 points here. And on this one, I'm going to delete this point, and I'm going to delete this point right below it, so it kind of creates that flow. And now I have a nice flow there between that ho-ho, right? Ho-ho. And then I'm just going to rinse and repeat that for the other HO, right? Let's get out of node editing here. I'm going to use the arrow keys on my keyboard. I'm going to bump it over, over. And I'm just holding down at this point. And I'm getting the top lines fairly close together. They don't have to be exactly on top of each other or anything like that. So close enough is close enough. And once again, I'm going to take the scissors, I'm going to trim away those 2 lines, and then that leaves me with this kind of funky little connection here. I'm going to rinse and repeat. I'm going to go to node editing, and on my inside point, I'm going to delete that, and then this one as well. And then here, I'm going to delete this point and the one below it, and that's going to give me that nice flow between that HO, HO. So now I have my letters here connected together. I can go ahead and size this back up now, so I can hold down my shift key, and I want to size this up. Let me hold down the shift key this way. And we'll get it centered left to right on the material. And that would be kind of my ho-ho, right? So you think you get the idea on that. Let's just do one more. So we'll have some words to work with. I'm going to take welcome. I'm going to hit G on the keyboard to group welcome together. I'm going to select ho, 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 hit G on the keyboard to group that together. And then I'm just going to move those up here, because I can cut out of this sheet. I can get a few words, not a lot, but I can get, 3 or 4 words or something out of this 120 by 20 sheet. So I'm just kind of getting them laid out there. Let's go ahead and let's do another one. And this one's going to be Merry Christmas. And in this case, I'm going to, let's do it here. Merry Christmas. And I'm going to use the same script and everything, and I'm going to hit close. Now, this text block that I just created, I need to break it up into individual lines, 2 separate lines. So I'm going to go here and right-click on the screen, left-click on break text block into lines. So now Christmas is its own line, Merry is its own line, and I can come in and I can, connect this together however I want. I think I would like to come in just about like that for this connection. And you can see here, Christmas, every one of my words are letters are overlapped. Same thing with Merry. So all I really need to do is weld those together. Now, I also have some overlap here as well. So I should be able to select both Merry and Christmas, holding down the shift key, select Christmas. I should be able to weld all of that and replace it, and it should connect my Merry Christmas there as well too. So now this is all one continuous vector all the way around and everything, when this all gets cut out and stuff, and we are good to go. Now, one flaw that I see in my thinking here, bear with me just a moment. No flaw in my thinking. My size, I got to size it down to fit on the board. So let's size this down. Hold that shift key. Bring that over here. All right, now, in these, in a situation like this, I may want to create or draw some stars or snowflakes or whatever, shapes and stuff that I can throw in some of this wasted area here. So when I'm cutting out these parts, I can cut those out as well. I can cut those out and not waste a whole lot of wood. I can throw those little snowflakes or whatever little add-ons or specials that I want to do. And Philip Ferreira says, I like using the N for the shortcut for node editing. Absolutely. So when you're selecting on a vector, the letter N on the keyboard, when it's not grouped together, will open up node editing very easily, and it's a great shortcut and stuff. Troy says, I just got an ad. I don't think I ever gotten an ad during a live show. Yeah, I didn't. It's unusual, isn't it? All right, let's group that together. Monetization is on these videos. That's how I make money. That's how I make a living, Troy. So from time to time, there will be ads. But it's how I make a living. So, all right, with these three words and everything, we can come in here and I'm not going to add any stars and stuff, but we could add snowflakes, we could add all kinds of stuff to create all kinds of different shapes. All right, let's go over to our Toolpath here, and it's going to be a profile cut on these. And on these profile cuts, we're going to cut all the way through the material. So we can hit Z equals on the keyboard, or we can just type in the thickness of the material, however you want to do, or even T as in Tom, thickness equals. So you can hit the letter T and all. The software knows how thick it is. We're going to be using an end mill. Now, my preference is the smaller the end mill, the better. The more you can get into those sharp, tight corners and stuff. But, some people might only have a 1/4 inch end mill. Some people might have an 1/8 inch end mill. Some people might have a 1/16 inch end mill and everything. On the 1/8 inch end mill, it won't be too bad. I won't be able to get into a lot of the deeper areas on the M's here. Those will get kind of shortened up and they'll get rounded off and everything. I won't be able to get down into those fine points and stuff on the letters. And it's just, the give and take for the bit you're using. I do have a 1/16 inch end mill with a 1/2 inch cutting flute, 2-flute end mill. So I will use that so I can get just as much detail as I possibly can out of these. And so we're going to switch over to our 1/16 inch end mill, and I'm going to change the pass depth. Normally it's half the diameter of the bit or less for your pass depth. I'm going to change the pass depth up, and I'm going to change this to a 1/16 of an inch per pass because I know my end mill can handle that. 0.0625. And I'm going to be cutting on the outside of the line. Now, tabs. When it comes to the letters and everything, I don't like using tabs. I do not want to have to try to cut the tabs away and sand in all of these little areas and stuff. So I utilize two-sided tape. There's all kinds of method. There's just two-sided tape. There's the CA glue and painter's tape method, which everybody, I know a lot of people that use that and they really like it. I've actually never used that method yet. But they like it a lot, and it seems to hold very well. I use two-sided tape and everything. There's also the option of hot glue, but in this case, hot glue is not the option at all. But so when I put I'm going to put in my strips of two-sided tape, and I'm going to make sure that where those strips are, that at least some of the word, it's going to be stuck to it, right? So when I'm cutting the parts out, it won't move or flop or fly around or anything like that. What I want to do is I want to not add tabs. For me, I'm not going to add tabs on this. If you want to add tabs, hey, put them where you need to put them. But also, you got to remember, you got to be able to get in there with sandpaper or sanding or what have you and all. So I'm lazy. I don't like to sand, especially tabs, right? So if there's a lot of them. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to add a ramp to kind of extend the life of my bit a little bit. And on my ramp, it's just going to be a 1/4 inch ramp on that 16th inch end mill, and it's going to be just a simple zigzag ramp. All right, so let's go ahead and this will be my text cutout. Text cut out, and 0.0625 EM end mill, and I'll calculate that, and we'll go ahead and preview the visible toolpath. Like I said, I would fill in, if I was doing this, all this wasted area, would be great for little things, snowflakes, little light bulbs, I don't care, candy canes, whatever shapes you wanted to draw would be ideal. I'm going to double click on my waste here on the screen. When you double click on your waste, it removes that waste area. For visual purposes, I can remove this away so you can kind of see what's happening. And the E, the O, and the E there. So welcome, ho, 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 and then Mary. We got the E there between the R, the Y, S, A, and the S. Right? So when we look at this, these would be our cutouts and things. Now, these are going to actually get glued to the top of another back piece, right? So they're going to get glued to the back of another type piece. So I would tend to make these like a solid color. They could be glittery too, right? You could add a little bit of glue on the surface, sprinkle some glitter, and make them all shiny and everything. Festive, right? What have you. But I would probably, take these out and, little rattle can spray paint, reds, greens, blues, whatever, blacks. Typically, I usually don't do black. I'll kind of do something festive. White was good too. So that would be our letters, right? So long story short is we want to, make sure that those are welded together and things. Now, if I turn on this Toolpath's visibility, and we come in here and look, you can see that my 16th inch end mill can't quite make it down into those curves, right? And so the important thing is that it can cut. We still get our general shape, right? And it still looks very good and everything. We have to be mindful of that on our design. If it's too intricate of a detail or something, we might lose that detail because the router bit just can't quite get in there in this particular scenario. Now, if we were doing V-carves or inlays, V-carve inlays or anything like that, we can get into those sharp points and stuff and things like that with a V-bit. But we're not using a V-bit for this. We're using an end mill just to cut it out and, to create our shape and everything. And So, Philip, for me, my 1/16 of an inch end mill runs 50 inches per minute and plunges at 15. And the RPMs, I'm usually around 17,000, just under 18,000 RPMs for that bit. And in some cases, depending on if I'm clogging too much because of those very small flutes, if it dictates it, like if MDF or something like that, then I'll slow the RPMs down a little bit more, between 12 and 14,000 RPMs. But I'm usually around 17,000, and then plunge of 15 inches per minute, feed rate of 50 inches a minute for the 16th inch end mill. And it does well for me. And now I have a mid-size unit as well too, so your the rigidity of your unit plays a big role also. Okay, so for the ho, most all of the detail come out except for in the corners. Of course, we know that we can't get into corners and things, but and welcome quite good detail out of that. So in that 3D view, let's turn that off. We have some very nice looking letters. Nothing wrong with them at all. Nothing that looks too like, oh, I can't really make out that kind of thing, right? So it's all good. Now let's take and let's put these on a new layer called text. And I'm going to turn the visibility off on that layer and put it away. Okay. Now, let's talk about shapes and silhouettes and all kinds of different things. We are going to do some V-carving, some raised effect here in just a moment and all, but let's talk shapes and stuff for a moment. When we are doing silhouette cutouts and everything, and we're tracing images and stuff, we need to also be mindful, again, the size of the bit we're using, and just know that we're gonna, if there's sharp points, they're gonna be rounded off and everything, and so we want to make sure that we still have enough detail. And regardless of where my router bit can get into here on this particular Christmas tree, my bit can do well. So I'm gonna size this up, and what I would try to do is, again, get this shifted over as much as I could, and then try to fill the area in with other stuff. Now I could take and I could hit Control C, Control V. I could come over here and I could hit the number 9 key and rotate that and try to fit 2 of these on the board. If I take and rotate this ever so slightly, I don't think I can get 2 on the board on this board. I don't think. Yeah, so I would have to, let me size the one that's upside down. Let me undo the rotate on that. I could take and make a smaller, little hanger, and with smaller text and stuff. Let me get that right about there. And again, I'm going to try to fill in, if I'm gluing up this panel, especially if I'm gluing up a panel, if it's plywood, same thing too as well, and everything, but MDF. But if I'm gluing up a panel of some nice wood, decorative wood and everything, I am going to try to utilize every inch of that panel. I have to glue up a big panel to cut out what I need to cut out, right? But hell, if I can get anything else out of there, I'm going to get anything else out of there. And I might as well, do it at the time. So think about that, kind of think ahead, think of your projects and stuff like that. Again, could be little stuff. It could be small words. It could be, just anything, right? Just if it fits and it's a profile cut, there you go. With that. So with this here, again, I'm going to be using it's 3/8 inch thick material. It's a profile cut. I'm going to be using the 16th inch end mill. That'll get me the most up into these little corners and everything. This will be, in this case, this will be my trees. and 0.0625. Okay, and calculate or Endmill. There we go. Calculate that. Reset and preview that cut to cut that out. And so again, I'm not going to deal with tabs. Now on something like this isn't actually too bad if there was tabs. I could get in there. I could throw a couple of tabs in there and everything. It's not too bad. It's the text that I don't like to do, but still I'm going to be using two-sided tape. So I don't really need tabs, but you've got to do what's best for you and your carving and your comfortability and all that stuff. And so here, might do some decorative painting on the tree, paint it green, gold star, whatever the case may be. I could draw in and paint some little balls and stuff there. If I wanted to add a little bit of decoration, I could add a little bit of a V carve to this to kind of give a little bit of a, where it looks like it's coming through. I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. But my text would be, running across that letter when it's all glued together. Let me move this one out of the way for a moment. And let's say that, let's go on our text. Let's do the Merry Christmas or the Ho Ho Ho, but we'll do Merry Christmas. Throw that over here. And so let me group that together. Now I'm going to see what centering it looks like. Let's select that, select this, go to the alignment tool and align to left or right of the object. And it's just a little bit too heavy on that one side, so I'm going to bump it over just a little bit. All right, and then I'll take the whole thing and center it on the board. And the that Merry Christmas is going to be glued to the top of that, right? So those two parts are going to be cut out. It's going to be glued to the top of that, and it would be a nice looking little sign, right, for a door hanger and stuff. How you want to hang it. If you want to, if you have a door knocker on your door, it could hang from the door knocker. If you want to use that tape that doesn't damage paint, that sticky tape. However you want to hang it up, you could hang it up with a ribbon that hooks over the door, all kinds of different things and everything. So you can have fun with that. Now let's talk about, let's do one with a little bit more detail in kind of a 3D raised effect, but not really 3D. We're going to do V-carve. And let's see what options we could do with that. Now I'm going to keep this over here for right now. Let's turn that text off for a moment. I'll set those to the side. For this one, I'm going to do a round circle. And it's going to be a 20-inch diameter circle. I'm going to offset it inward a 1/2 inch. That's going to be kind of my rim, my lip, my frame, whatever you want it to be, and everything. In here, I'm going to take, let's do the teddy bear. If you're ever online, there's a lot of great places to get vectors and stuff, and one of those places is like coloring book pages. You can buy different vectors and stuff to download, and they trace out real nice, and they're good detail and stuff. Freevector.com, 3axis.co is another one. There's a lot of places where you can, whether you set up an account or not, you can get some pretty cool vectors from. This guy here, he's pretty cool. He's from one of my accounts. And so I'm going to come in here and size him down. I think this is like a coloring pages graphic or what have you. But he's going to go up here. What side do I want him on? I'll put him up here on that side. And let's take the, let's take Merry Christmas. And now actually, I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking stupid now. That's for my cutout letters. This is going to be a V-carve raise. I don't need to have them welded together. Let's come in here and re-type out the new words. Let's go 3 inches tall. And we're going to go have a Merry Christmas. All right. Now, on this, let's get this tree out of the way. It doesn't want to move. All right, on this Have a Merry Christmas, once again, it was a text block. Big spacing in between, right? Now, just so you know, if you ever wanted to reduce, let's say you wanted it just like that, but you wanted to reduce the spacing, you have the Edit Text Spacing and Curve tool that you can use, and you can put your mouse between those lines, and you can click to reduce the spacing between those lines, you know, and things. So you can get in there to reduce that spacing and stuff, or you can convert it to curves and then move everything. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to right click on the screen and I'm going to break it up into individual lines. This way I can move the lines wherever and however I want. So I'm going to take the word have and I'm going to bring it up here, kind of there. I'll throw that right there. Merry Christmas. Oops. Don't do that. And I'm going to make Christmas bigger. Okay. And I think down here, I'm going to kind of create just a little wave for the pocket because I want the letters and everything to be raised up. So I'm going to kind of just take my, let's see, I'll take the freehand draw tool and I'm just going to kind of freehand that. And I'm going to go into node editing. I'm going to pull that over to here. Let's pull this up. Pull this over. Yeah, something like that. All right, for the text, just like we did before, we're going to need to maybe some holly leaves under the Christmas. Right, Brooks, there you go. Absolutely. So, hey, Raul, thanks for dropping in. So, you know, holly leaves, or we could even do like a couple of Christmas lights. Let's see if we can freehand draw some Christmas lights. That was going to be one of my silhouettes anyway for later, so might as well utilize them now. So I'm going to take a rectangle, and let's come over here. Let's get let's create a new layer. I'm going to call it lights, and I'll turn off layer 1 for a moment and make lights active, and I'll just draw that rectangle again. It's fine. All right, I'm going to take this and shorten this up, make it a little bit narrower, and I'm going to go into node editing mode, for node editing, and here I'm going to hit the letter A, hover my mouse and hit the letter A to arc that end of that line, right, to create that little end line there. I'm going to come back out of node editing mode, hold down my control key, and make sure I'm holding the control key. Okay. Now I'm going to take and draw a straight line from here to here. And I'm going to select these 3 items. I'm going to select that line last. And in my alignment tool, I'm going to align them vertically and space them equal distance here, so that they're spaced equal distance. And I'm also going to make sure that they're centered with that last vector as well too, that line. And so I don't need that line anymore. So I just use that line to space those 3 shapes equal distance. Bear with me just a moment. Turn off that. All right, now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to use the ellipse tool, and I'm going to draw an ellipse. Let's take it about like that. These are going to be short lights, but I don't want them to be fat and narrow, so all right, now I'm going to go into node editing mode on this, and the point here, I need just a little bit more of a point. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to use my arrow key, and I'm going to pull that over. I'm going to take this one, pull that over. That looks about even. Kind of create that shape there, and then I'm going to take a straight line and right about here. Space bar. And I'm going to take the scissors and just get rid of this here. Hit the delete key on the keyboard to get rid of that. All right, so let's pretend that that's one of our lights. Let's group that together. Let's take and hold down the control key. Let's turn this sideways a little bit. Just going to have kind of two lights overlapping a little. Now, when I have a situation like this, right, where I need to, where the effect of where it looks like one light is overlapping the other, I'm going to take these three objects here, or this object here, and I'm going to offset outward, and I'm going to offset 1/8 of an inch. And, oops, too many decimal points there. And that offset is going to create a boundary for me so that I can select these objects here. I'll go ahead and group them all together as one. I'll hold down the shift key and select that boundary, and then I'll come in and trim, not with the scissors, but with the trim tool, and I'll clear inside that boundary. And what that'll do is that'll redraw the shapes. And I missed one shape there. I'll have to do that after the fact. So let's do that one by itself. Select that, hold down the shift key, select that boundary last, clear inside. It's not clearing. So we're going to have to figure out why. Let's see. Let's go into node editing, or I'm sorry, the join tool. It is a closed vector. So we have some kind of anomaly happening here. Let's select that again. Let's try it one more time. And if not, we're going to do alternative number 2. Trim, clear inside that last selected object. Not trimming. So we'll just do the backup. Since we don't use that boundary line anyway, we're going to take our scissors. I do not know why it did not want to trim, but we're going to trim to here. And then trim the rest of that away. And so I now have this effect where it looks like this one is in front of this one, right? So now they're big, huge, right? Big scale. But I could even draw, if I wanted to, like, you know, a curly line, like a wire or something, whatever the case may be. But I think the reason why I went trim is because there's a, looks like a duplicate there. Excuse me. It looks like there's a duplicate. Hold on. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to forgive me. I don't know where my drink is. It is right here. Let me... I had something just go down my throat. It got me choked up. Okay. Sorry about that. I think there's a duplicate. Let's ungroup this. And let's right click and select all duplicates. No duplicates. All right. Not sure why it didn't trim, but since that boundary was there, we just used that boundary as our scissors to create, you know, we just trimmed up to that to create that shape anyway. No harm, no foul, right? But now we can come in here and I'll group this together, G for group. That way I can size it down and everything. And let's go back and turn our, you know, design back on. And, you know, let's size this down. And, you know, we might even be able to incorporate this line into this somehow. It could be something where, you know, there's a loop that's hooked around the, you know, where Christmas, whatever we want to do. Let me see here. Maybe let's get rid of that. I'm going to take this and mirror it. I don't know. There's something about Mary. Let's see here. Let me see if I can freehand draw something that might be able to work. All right, let's go double that up. I'm going to hold down the control key and drag that up. Oh, hold on a minute. Before I do that, let me connect where I accidentally stopped right there. So if I select these two items right here, I can click on this button to join those two ends together, so it'll reconnect that. And now let's go in and hold down the control key, drag up that double there. All right, I'm going to use the extend tool. I'll extend this vector to here. It does not like me today. All right. So when it doesn't extend, that's most likely because it's a group. Let's ungroup it. Doesn't like groups. Let's use that extend tool again and extend from here to there, like such. We'll use our scissor tool and connect that together there. Now here, I want it to go behind the R. I haven't welded this text together yet or anything. I want it to kind of go behind the R here, but over here. So in the situation like this, we're going to connect this together by, if this is going behind, let me weld Christmas together first, weld that. And if I'm going to go behind here, then this is going to connect there. This will disappear. That'll connect there. And if it's going to go over here, then, oops, wrong one. This will go away here. So it'll go over there, behind and over. And if I wanted to make it like that, I could do an offset and trim that around, but that's okay. We'll go there. It's going to come over. This is a freehand drawing, right? So we don't really need, it doesn't have to, you know, be that pretty. I want the M, let's just click that, that, and that. And then here, that's fine. And this, I need to go back into node editing. I'm going to cut the vector here, and I'm actually going to cut it there. And I'm going to take this and pull it here, this. Ooh, don't do that. Let's pull that. That's fine. Just to connect this here. Ungroup. Got to ungroup. All right, and then those two little scraps we'll throw away. So delete that. Okay. It's not pretty, but hey, it looks like something. All right, let's get Mary welded together and replace that. Let's get Have welded together, replace that. On the teddy bear and the puzzle or the presents, we're going to offset that full outside boundary. We're going to offset outward, and this is going to create a little island for that teddy bear to get carved on and everything. Now you can have, I went 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch, you know, probably look good too. Let's actually do that. Let's go 1/16, so it's not that big of an offset. Too many decimals. There we go. And now let's carve it. So we're going to, in this situation, let's get my toolpath and all back. There we go. V-carve toolpath. We're going to select the inside vector and everything inside. So the inside circle and everything in there. We're going to, let's make sure that everything is joined and closed up. So if I go to the join tool, there's 2 open vectors that I need to contend with. So let's find them real quickly. Select all open vectors. I right-clicked on the screen to get this menu. And I see it right there. So hit delete. That's one. And most likely that's going to be the second one also. Select that and hit delete. There we go. All right. So let's try that one more time. Let's select that inside vector. Everything in between. V-carve toolpath. I want a flat depth. I'm a big fan of 1/8 of an inch. I think 1/8 of an inch with a 60-degree V-bit looks really good. So I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch deep. I'm using the white side 60-degree V-bit. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill for all the flat area, but I'm also going to use an 1/8 inch end mill as well too. So I'm going to select an 1/8 inch end mill with that. So the 2 clearance tools. And I'm going to, with this, I want to do a raster cut. I want to cut with the grain. My grain most likely on this panel, I would probably have it running horizontally and everything. Who knows? But I would make sure the raster runs with the grain, and whatever that raster angle is, I'll just leave it at 0 for now. This is not a 3D model, so no projection. And this will be my Have a Merry Christmas door hanger. 0. Well, we'll just leave it like that. And we're going to hit calculate. Reset the preview and preview the visible toolpath. Let's stop that before it gets out of control. Let's try that one more time. Click preview visible toolpaths versus preview all toolpaths, right? So the 1/4 inch end mill followed by the 1/8 inch end mill followed by the 60-degree V-bit will create this here. Let's do our profile cutout. So this outside boundary here, will be a profile cut, cutting all the way through the material. I'll go ahead and use a 1/4 inch end mill for that cut. Cutting on the outside of the line. Again, I'm using 2-sided tape, so we'll cut that out. And I can get rid of those. And depending on, you know, what festive color you wanted to add to this or anything, I'll just go black just so you can see the detail in the design. But we could, you know, we could go Christmas red, whatever the case may be, but we'll just go black for right now so you can see. And let's turn the color off just for a moment so I can turn it here and you can see what's going on. By selecting that inside circular boundary and everything, it's all of the text, the light bulbs, the bear and the presents and everything were all carved, raised up. And that's why we created that island around that bear, because we want that bear carved in like this. And if we wouldn't have put that island around it for it to get carved into, it would have created a reverse effect and it would not have looked good. Let me show you that just so you can see visually what I'm referring to. So this is the cut that we have here. If we add the color back to it, you can see the way that bear looks. Let's take that boundary out of the equation. Let's hold down our shift key and turn off that little 1/16 inch island that we created. And bear with me just a second. Hold down the shift key and click on that and calculate this. Now with that bear, everything that was once raised is now going to get carved down, and everything that was carved down is now raised. So it creates a reverse effect. So if we reset the preview and preview that toolpath again, the bear is going to kind of be backwards or reversed. And so let it go through, and you'll see when we add the color to that, let me get rid of this waste here. The bear, it's just kind of doing the outlines. Let's turn the color off so you can see what exactly is happening there. But all the inside stuff that was once carved up has now been reversed, because a V-carve cuts between 2 lines. And it skips 2 lines and carves the next 2. So it's carving between the 2 lines of the boundary and the bear. Then it's skipping that outline and then carving inside the bear. Well, we don't want that. What we want is we want the bear to carve the other way. So in order to do that, we have to add another line. And that's that outside line, that boundary we create around it. It's basically like creating an island that's going to get raised up, and then that bear will get carved inside that island. So let's go back, and in that toolpath, open it back up, hold down the shift key and re-add that outside boundary back in. So now the bit is going to carve between, and I'll show you in the 2D view. Let's go back to the 2D view for a second. So now the bit is carving that flat area. It's skipping where that island is, and then it's carving the outline of the bear, skipping in here, carving in here, and it's giving us that much better look and everything. So let's reset this preview one last time. Preview the visible toolpath again. And then we have that that effect. So let's get rid of our waste. And, you know, you have that. Now, Brooks Martin in the comments section says cookie cutter, right? So think of, if you had, as a cookie cutter, if you had dough laid out, right? And you're using this to stamp, you know, cookies. You would want those cookies, I think, you would want the letters to be raised for the Merry Christmas, and the bear to be raised on the cookie, right? So then we would make this a negative, where everything was that's currently carved up right now is carved down, so that when we stamp that dough out, it's raised. Even on like a leather stamp. So I would want everything to be raised. If I can make a leather stamp out of wood with the leather soften. I can put that leather in a press with something like this medallion, press it, and I can have that leather, that raised, that bare and Merry Christmas, just like it is right now. I could have the piece of leather looking just like this, right? But in order to do that, my stamp would have to be reversed, right? So everything that's currently up would have to be down, and everything that's down would currently be up. So we would reverse that. And we would do that by adding another line. So we would literally come in, and in this case, we would do it as the circle would be the other line. I would come in and select all of this. Probably would add another line on the offset inward here. Let me offset this line inward because I still need to cut out the shape. So if I offset that inward, I'll go 1/8 of an inch. You have to remember, whatever that's gonna, when that stamps, it's gonna create that little ring around, right? That little stamp. So you got to be mindful of that. I can actually go a little bit wider, so let's go 1/4. Yeah. And now, once again, if I selected everything here and I calculated that toolpath, same setting, same everything. This time, bear with me just a moment. Reset, preview the visible toolpath. And then let me do the profile cut. So in this case, as the cookie cutter, right, as I, stamp this, those areas would be impressioned. They would be raised up. I don't know how that would look as a cookie. I don't know if it would maintain or hold its shape. It might, when it gets baked. You know what I mean? It might hold its detail and stuff. But as a leather stamp, putting that in a press, it would hold its detail very well. But anyhow, yes, cookie cutter, great idea. So you could definitely, do that. So let's go back. Let's reset that, and let's go back just to the normal look. And profile, reset the preview. Okay. All right. So, and someone asked, are they socks or light bulbs? If somebody's got a foot shaped like that, my man, I feel bad for them. Those are light bulbs, Wally. All right. Dave Flores says, I know this is not the topic of the class, but is the island work the same for 3D bears or 2D and 2D text? Yeah, so basically this, if I'm understanding your question, David, this here, creating this effect and everything, this is a 3D. All V-carve is 3D also, just so you know. Anytime your Z is moving up and down during a carving, that's a 3D cut. When a Z comes down to a cut and makes a profile cut out, that's a 2D cut. Where the Z goes down to a depth, makes that cut at that same depth. But when it's varying, that Z is moving up and down as the cut is happening, that's a 3-dimensional cut. 2.5D if you want to be technical about it. but I know that this is not the topic of the class, but is the island work the same for 3D bear and 2D text? Yeah, so if I wanted the text to be carved in and I wanted the bear to be raised up, same situation. So in that scenario, I would have, in a situation like that, if the bear was raised up and everything else was carved in, just a regular V-carve, then I would be selecting the bear and the contents of its presence and everything, and the inside vector. Oh, let me... hold down the right shift key and turn off that and that. Select that. All right, I'm going to group that together for just 1 minute so I can select this vector and hit delete. Okay, so on here, if I wanted the bear raised and I want to just carve the text in, this would be my selected vectors for this. V-carve toolpath, same cuts and everything. Calculate that out. Reset the preview. Preview that visible toolpath. So the bear is raised, and then the text would just be a V-carve toolpath. And since I'm already carving, and I already carved that pocket away 1/8 of an inch, I have to start at 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to set the flat depth to 1/8 of an inch because of the light bulbs and everything. So I'll just calculate that. Preview that visible toolpath. That would carve down in. And let's say that on this we'll just go black right now with the letters. In the design, the main pocket area of the bear, let's go red. That'll be it. And so, you know, whatever you want it to look like, but if the, text was carved in and the bear was raised, that would be the way you would do it. So you would select that boundary, the island around the bear, got to have that island so it's raised up, and then, the bear gets carved in, and then the text gets carved down into that pocket and gets carved in. So a couple of ways that you could approach that depending on what you want to do, right? So, David, I don't know if that's, kind of don't know if that's what you were asking, David Flores, but, that would be that. All right, so another very cool design there and everything. I'm going to keep the circles on the screen there. Let's do a different design. Let me ungroup that, turn this off, and I'm going to just move this over here. All right, let's take this reindeer for effect. Now, this reindeer could be either way, right? So the reindeer could be a silhouette getting cut out of the board with the word welcome across it, Merry Christmas, ho ho ho, let it snow, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, whatever you wanted, right? We could do that silhouette with that cutout with those letters like we were talking about, and it could just hang from the door that way. In this case, I want to make it part of that inside area, and I'm going to take the welcome here, and I'm going to size this down quite a bit. Give me just a moment. And I'm going to turn him just a little bit. All right, I'm going to take, I've got some different pine tree type silhouettes. And again, images, there's coloring book images, there's all kind of graphics and places you can get graphics online for different things. You can sign up an account for unlimited downloads, or you might be able to find like 3axis.co as free downloads. Freevector.com I think is another one, but these are just some rough silhouettes of different what would simulate like a pine forest. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab two of them. Let me ungroup them. I'm going to grab two of them. I'll take this one and this top one. And I'm going to weld them or trim them together. Let me move this out to roughly about here. And I'm going to take the scissors and just kind of trim these overlaps away. Just to make this a little bit longer scape, skyline, or whatever the case may be. I'm going to size this down, and I'm going to bring it up into here. All right, now I'm going to get rid of this one here in the middle that I stretched out, and I'm going to take on this here, I'm going to trim away this and all of this. I can end up just deleting that in just a minute. Let me trim away this and that. I'm going to come in here and select, get rid of that. Some of that debris and that. All right, so basically, let's get rid of that one too. Kind of got this down here. This is going to be kind of raised up. This area in here is going to be carved away. Let's take this and move this over just a little and up. Size it down. All right, let's go into our text. Let it Snow. All right, once again, I've just created a text block. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to break that text block into individual lines. So I can come in here and size and manipulate this and change it around. Okay. I'm going to take the word snow and I'm going to weld it together. IT, I don't need let. Let's weld that together. Now I'm going to throw in some little bitty, stars and things like that. So I'm going to take the star tool and I'm just going to, I'll size this down to much smaller, little twinkles, if you will. And let me get this star sized to the size that I want it. On there. And then I'll do a couple of stars. So I'm going to open the star tool back up now that I've sized this. And I should add some random, star placement at the same size. So everywhere I click is where it'll drop a star. And everything, kind of a starry night. That'll be fine. Yep. Okay. And then let's go ahead and carve it. Let's create a toolpath. We're going to select all of the inside vectors once again. All of the inside vectors once again, and it's going to be a V-carve toolpath. We're going to start at 0. Again, I'm a big fan of 1/8 of an inch, so I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to do a raster cut and calculate. Reset that preview the visible toolpath. Yeah, snow globe effect for sure. Absolutely. You can give it that look. Let's do the profile cut. Now the profile toolpath I have here is the same for all of them. So I'll just preview that visible toolpath. Don't need to reinvent the wheel. And let's get rid of the 4 corners. Now, in here, something like this, let me add just a little bit of color to this. So you can see the, the detailed definition. Now I have all of this space down here that I could carve in. This could be a family name. It could be a house number. It could be a year, 2023. It could be a small little message, whatever, right? And so let's say that I come in here and it doesn't have to be anything, right? It could be something, it could be nothing. But let's go let's size that down quite a bit. Let's go 2 inches. Let's move that. Let me move that down here. Once again, it is a text block. So I'm going to break it up into individual groups. Or individual lines, not groups. The word "the" is going to be small. So we'll size that and put that right there and go ahead and weld that together. Chambers. Weld that together. Family. Size that down. Let me move this up a little bit. Oops, hold on a second. I had a vector selected. Let me bump that up a little. Chambers. Okay, now I'm going to take these three items here. I'm going to take these three items. I'm going to group them together as one, and not flip, sorry. I'm going to hit G for group. I'm going to try to center them left to right. Let's see if a left to right center will, you know, look okay. It should. So now that would just be a normal V carve. So no flat depth needed for that, and no clearance tools needed, just the 60-degree V-bit. I need to weld the family together, so let's ungroup that for a moment and weld family. All right, and then once again, make sure you're only selecting what you're carving. All right, calculate, preview the visible toolpath, you know, whatever the case may be. You could lay it out differently. I'm just doing this on the fly, right? There's no, you know, there's no rhyme or reason, but just to give you some, you know, concepts, food for thought, whatever the case may be. But so when it comes to things like these decorative door hangers, I call them, because that's kind of the perfect place for them. You know, these could be sized down to ornaments that hang on the tree. They could be medallions that hang in the center of a mantle, hang down in the center of a mantle with stockings around, you know, on each side of it, kind of thing. Door handles, you could add your own little touch, add some little garland or wreaths, ribbon, you know, add some decorative ribbon to it, and really just have, you know, some fun with it. If this were a silhouette cutout, let's take this and move this over here, and let's grab the reindeer. Let's grab a copy of the reindeer. Hold down that control key. You size him up. This could be a profile cut, cutting all the way through the material. In this case, I'll use an 1/8 inch end mill instead of a 1/16 or a 1/4. I'll just use an 1/8 inch end mill to get around in those antlers. Again, this shape could be painted, glittered, whatever you want. We could throw some text across here. So in the case of the, you know, we could do the ho 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 across. It's going to be off the board right here, but it's a second layer, second piece of material, right? Could be, you know, across that. Imagine like a little red ribbon where it hangs from, all of that stuff, right? So hopefully you'll get some possible concepts and things out of this. I've got some lace patterns, like lace patterns and everything that could be used. This whole bottom area where these trees are could be kind of a lace pattern. It could be a pattern where it's a plaid. You know, everybody wears plaid, like red and black plaid. You know, pajamas and everything. So you could you know, you could have a plaid pattern carved in. I don't know if I'm any good at creating a plaid pattern, but basically in a lot of cases it's mostly just rectangles, narrow and wide rectangles. So imagine if I have a narrow rectangle here. Let's go even narrower than that. I'll actually keep that one. That'll be a good one for a second one. Let's hold the control key down and drag another one off, but let's go thinner. And then control key, let's go a little thicker. And when it comes to a plaid pattern, let's say that we take this one, we're going to kind of go right in the middle of this thick one and this thin one. We're going to hold down the control key and we're going to make it just slightly, ever so slightly wider. So there's a little bit of a difference. That's it. And let's take that and stretch it up to here. Down to here. Let's center that up and down on the board. Let's hold down the control, hit Control C, Control V, copy and paste. And let's hit single click on this center dot and we'll get the pivot point when we single click there. And, oh, it's not going to give me the pivot point. That's all right. I'll just hit the number 9 key twice. And that will overlap here. And then we have a pattern that would be a series of rectangles. And I'll get them all to line up here in just a minute. All right, I'm going to select these 3 items or 4 items right here, and I'm going to align them up and down with one another so the tops are all aligned and the bottoms are all aligned. And now I can, let me move this one over. Move that one over. It's all about the void space as well as the line space, making sure everything is kind of consistent. This will be wider. All right, now I'm going to take these 3 patterns. I'm going to group them together. I'm going to draw a line down the center of this larger rectangle. I'm going to select this group, hit Control C, Control V, copy and paste. Select that line last and mirror by flipping it about the line. And then I can get rid of that line. And I'm going to take this shape, hold down the control key, drag this there. I'm going to take all 3 of these and I'm going to hold down the Control C, Control V. I'm not good at drawing plaid, but let me rotate that 90 degrees. 1, 2. And you can start to create, there's also, you can go online and find plaid vectors, search plaid vectors, and you can find the vectors for them, but it's literally just a series of squares and overlaps. And then of course we would trim to say, you know, because remember the bit's got to carve, you know, it's got to carve these rectangles. So it might carve this rectangle, leave this alone, carve this next rectangle. So we have to use our scissors and trim and keep and, you know, what we don't want and what we do want. But you could create a small, you know, plaid pattern. And the plaid pattern is just kind of a repeat of all of this stuff. Hold down the shift key or the control key. And this would go here. And then there'd be a big void in the middle. That void might have this one, this little narrow one right in the middle, something like that. But long story short, you could be creative and create your, I'm not good at drawing plaid. And then there's a lot of work to get done to get it to carve just right and everything, because you're carving every other line, you know, you're painting. There's some are gray, some are red, some are black, some are clear, all that good stuff. But long story short is you could create a lace pattern down here where these trees are. Instead of it being trees, it could be just a line straight across. Up at the top here, it could, you know, have a saying or something. It'd be line straight across, and then this whole lower area could be a lace pattern. It could be a plaid pattern. It could be whatever to kind of just you know, have that carving, and then when you know when you carve it, it would look pretty cool. So just to, I'm not good with plaid, so let's pull the plaid to the side. I'm not great with it. Let's take this vector and center it back on the board. Let's offset it inward 1/2 inch. Let's take and draw a straight line to do what I said. Somewhere I'm just going to pick a spot right about there. And when I do that, I take the scissors and trim this away, because this is the area that's going to get pocketed out for whatever it says in there. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, ho ho ho, I don't care what your text are, the Robinsons 2023, whatever, right? So, you know, you can have your design in here, and then this lower area could be, let's say, you know, a lace pattern. And so let's close this tool. I'll take this intricate lace pattern here, and let's all right, from there to, let me stretch this out just a little bit. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm wanting to get these vectors kind of connected to that circle, if you will. I'll use the extend tool on that one here. Now, I'm going to, again, create a offset of this, but it's going to be a small offset. It's going to, instead of a 1/2 inch, I'm going to go inward 1/8 of an inch. And on here, I'm going to select this object as a group. Now, I'm going to hit save because this might crash my system. There's a lot of vectors in here. But I'm going to ungroup this. Ungroup this pattern. And whatever vectors are outside of the circle that I can go ahead and help the software with and get rid of, I'm going to do that. So vectors that are not into that circle, like that vector, I would leave. This vector I would leave. But anything else that I could get rid of, sorry, there's a cat meowing in the background. Anything that I could get rid of that's not touching the circles to help the software out, so it's not trying to figure out, you know, things that it doesn't need to. All right, on that, I'm going to hold the shift key down, turn off this circle, that circle, there, and I'll add in those two. I'll leave them, delete that. So just trying to clean up anything that's not, you know, touching the circle. You don't have to go crazy with it. It's fine. It'll get rid of it anyway if you don't, you know, spend this time doing this kind of thing. And this is the last thing we're doing tonight. But let's come in here. Again, just going through and getting rid of anything that's not touching the circle. All right, so on this one, oops, I'm going to go from left to right to select these. And then I'm going to turn off, hold the shift key down. I'm going to turn off. Actually, it's not even touching my inside circle there, so I can just go ahead and hit delete. Get rid of that. I was looking at the outside circle, but it's the inside circle. So if these aren't even touching it, oops, don't accidentally get rid of the boundary there. All right, not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Let me get a few more, and then I'll show you what we're doing here. Delete. Hold down the shift key, select that. Almost there. Hit delete, get rid of all that. Anything that's touching that inside circle, I'm going to keep. Everything else is going to go away. Left to right, when you're selecting, if you're not 100% in the box, then it will not select it. So that's why it makes it easy to be able to go over lines. You know, as long as the object's not 100% in that box, it won't select it. It will only select what's 100% in the box. And so you can cross over those lines and everything much easier. When you go right to left, it's everything that the box touches that it selects. All right, almost there. A couple more little circles here. Hold down the shift key, turn that off, turn that on. Get rid of that one, that one, that one, and that one. Okay, that's all we're gonna do. That at least cleaned it up quite a bit, so that the trim tool that I'm gonna use doesn't have to really contend with too much. And so we're now going to select all of these vectors here. I'll go ahead and hit G to group them together, but we're going to select that inside line as the boundary, and we're going to trim clearing outside of the boundary. So it's going to redraw those vectors, and it's going to get rid of everything that's outside of that line and redraw everything that's inside of the line. Give it just a second. It's going to take it a minute it's got to think about all this stuff. There's a lot there. And then we'll do the V-carve on the lace pattern on the bottom of this. I'll show you just the pocket cut on the top so you can kind of see. But the reason why I saved this is because this might crash my project. Hey, Kool-Aid, thanks for that super chat, man. I appreciate you. Super chats is another way that you guys and girls can help the channel. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. And Troy says, come on, all you good people, over 40 watchers, only 21 likes. Show me some Christmas love. Thank you, Troy. Always there for me. Appreciate that. Thank you, Laney. Great ideas. I'll pick up the rest session on replay. Awesome, Brooks. If you're still there, thank you for that. This is going to be our final countdown here. We're gonna close off after this. This is the software is thinking on what it needs to trim and redraw on this to. There's a lot of vectors there. Like I said, so it's about 3% done. But while it's doing that, while it's doing that in the background, we'll come back to that in just a second. But let me pop back up here for just a moment. Let me see where my full screen, there we go. While that's trimming in the background, it's at 4%. It might take just a moment to figure out what it needs to do. But long story short, this whole thing came up with, a customer was wanting to know about cutting out letters. Just cutting out letters. It could be individual letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But also cutting out words, right? And so, being able to do this, to the first part, showing how to weld those words together so we can cut them out, because we're going to use them and glue them to something, on the back, kind of a backer board, whatever shape that might be, something cool and creative and fun, just something festive. But you might just be cutting out letters, individual letters, for a puzzle, name puzzle for kids or something, or just because you want to cut out letters and you want to cut out letters. Now, keep this in mind. The one thing that I didn't talk about and all was nesting. Let's say you have a bunch of letters. Let's say you have a bunch of A's, B's, C's, D's, all the way through the alphabet. You're going to cut the shit out of some letters, right? You're going to cut them. Well, excuse my language. You can have all these A's nested together on your material. Let's say we're using MDF. MDF is great for cutting out letters and stuff. You could have all your A's nested on a panel, all your B's nested on a panel, all your C's nested on a panel. And nesting just throws the letters in there based on your parameters. What size bit you're using, how much clearance you want between your cuts, and how far you want the letters or the objects, could be stars and all that stuff too, but how far you want those objects away from your boundary, your border. And based on those, those three parameters, it will spin those letters around and it'll drop them in to minimize your waste, maximize the yield of the material, nesting. That's the main tool's function, is to minimize your waste, maximize the yield of that material. And you could have all these different panels of cutting out all these different letters for whatever reason. And then you could take these letters and glue them together to create all kinds of cool signs. You could, heck, if you've ever went to Hobby Lobby and you went down the aisle where they have the woodworking stuff and everything, you'll see they have these MDF letters cut out, and they're selling them for, $6, $7, $5, whatever. I don't know how much they are, but there's quite a bit, and everything. Now, I don't. This could take. We're only at 11%, so I'm gonna actually stop this thinking on the software, and I'm gonna just manually do it myself. And it's not gonna look exactly right, but you'll get the idea. Because let me just hit stop on that. It's just too much for this class. It would just drag the class out when it doesn't need to be dragged out. So I'm just going to trim everything together myself. Let's go and ungroup this. And my inside vector is my boundary, and basically anything outside the boundary I'm just going to trim to create these closed vectors and things. So with the scissors, this line of course will get trimmed away, as well as this line, and that'll end up even that little guy right there will go away. But what that'll end up doing is that'll end up creating that closed boundary right there. And then from here, this and this would be connected, okay, coming around. From here, this would be trimmed off, as well as that and that. And imagine if this is connected, this is open, and that's connected, such as that. Following the pattern and everything, again, this is my line here, so it's almost like every other item gets, connected or what have you, but this is voided, this is connected, trim and connect right there. Trim, connect there. That creates those two. And then I'm just literally just going to work my way around. So on these circles, all the circles kind of get, that can go away. Trimmed here. And there. There. Now, these two shapes right in there, they'll end up getting deleted, but this will get trimmed away, that. Now, this will stay connected, that'll get opened up, trimmed, this will go into there, all the way around. So, I'll leave those two circles there, it's not going to hurt them. So, we would continue that pattern all the way across. So this would get connected, that would get connected, that would get connected, and again, just kind of repeating this pattern all the way around. And even my mouse, even doing this manually, my mouse is kind of like what should I be trimming, what shouldn't I be trimming? Sometimes you got to get up close and personal with it, zoom in to it so it knows, kind of what you're trying to trim, and don't trim away what you're not supposed to. But I'm not going to go too crazy. All right, so imagine, if you will, we create this pattern all the way down and everything, and ultimately end up, here with this. Let me get this side started. I've got this cat, you'll have to forgive me. I got this cat moaning in the background. He's new, so he's a little scared. So he's like moaning. Let's see. That's connected. That stays. This trims just like that. That trims away. That trims away. That trims away. All right, wrong one. Control Z to undo. This one trims away. That connects that. Creates that pattern all the way to here. And that, we're just going to call that good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of everything that is overlapping my circle here, just so we can move along. I might keep some of the things, but all right, hit delete so I can kind of work my way around. Basically, I'm just clearing off this line. We'll have some voids there in our little stitch, but that's okay. Again, you'll get the idea. Oh, I'll keep that one. So we'll just trim that and that. All right, a little bit more. And again, normally we would trim these. We wouldn't delete them. I'm just getting rid of them so I can just create the toolpath to kind of give you a general idea of. Ooh. I'll keep that one. Okay. Let's just get rid of that. All right, so basically I've just gone through and I've deleted things, you know, just to kind of clear them out so we can see this. What I should have is a continuous vector that goes all the way around, and it should be closed. Okay, it should be closed, not open. And my big head was in the way this whole time, but all I was doing, you didn't miss anything. All I did was went through and deleted a bunch of stuff because I didn't want to waste time with the trim. So you see there's a couple voids in my pattern here. So all I was doing is I just went through and I deleted things so you didn't miss anything. But this outside vector, when it's all said and done, that outside vector should be closed. So it should be a closed vector. Sorry, my head was in the way and I couldn't read, move to the left. I couldn't read everybody's text. All right, Laney, you're blocking the screen. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Stadler Tom. I appreciate you. Hey, thanks, Midnight Sun. What? I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that super chat. But anyway, what you missed behind my head is I just went through and deleted all the vectors that were overlapping line. I didn't trim them or anything, just deleted them. That's why you see these voids here. But we would have went through and we would have gone through and, you know, cut these to kind of connect them together. But long story short is we have this pattern here. And so let's say that this upper area, just for something in the upper area, let's say that we put this here. Just so we have something in there. So the top area here, when it comes to Toolpath, we would select the top area here. It would be a V-carve toolpath. Flat depth, again, I'm a big fan of 1/8 of an inch. 60-degree V-bit, 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch end mill. Calculate that and reset that preview and preview that visible toolpath. That gives us that, you know, upper area and everything. I'll turn the color off. So that just gives us that. And again, we could fill that in with snowflakes, stars, moons, I don't care, you know, all kinds of cool little whatever, little shapes and stuff. Little round circles to represent snow drops. They don't have to be physical snowflakes. You could use little circles of different sizes and everything. But the lower area, we'll do the profile cut here, and we'll preview that visible toolpath to get the circle cut out so you can kind of get the full visual. And so there's our circle. Now this lower pattern is going to be this lace pattern. So let's select that lace pattern. And we're going to do a V-carve toolpath. Again, I'll use a flat depth of 1/8 of an inch, same bits and all. We'll calculate that pattern in. And Continue. I had some lines overlapping there, but we'll continue that. I'll show you how to fix those after we calculate this and see what the final look is. We'll go back and see what those overlaps are, and then we'll go back and correct those. So we'll preview that visible toolpath to carve that pattern in. Of course, my pattern is going to have some voids at the bottom and everything, but let's add, some color in there. And again, this with those voids, it doesn't look quite right. And I would probably shape this a little bit better next time to where it's not a straight line across here, where it actually takes on the shape of this going across here. I think that would look better if this bottom area kind of flowed into this with a little bit of an offset, a little bit of a line, a little bit of a border. And how I would have done that is I would have taken this shape, just the outside shape, offset it outward. 1/8 of an inch works just fine. I went the wrong direction, sorry. Outward, we want outward. And then with that, let's delete that circle. Offset this inward my 1/2 inch to get my border, 0.5, this circle inward. And then that offset and that circle would have been trimmed together. So wait for it. That and that would have been connected there. Come over to here to this side. And my offset, so this and this. And then the rest, this circle right here gets deleted. That, the rest of that circle gets deleted. And then my offset, which is this one here, gets deleted as well too. So that gives me back to kind of a clean vector. And now I have this pattern that kind of, emulates that there. So that when I did, and again, we could take, let's take a series of circles. And let's make this circle like a 1/8 of an inch in diameter. Small. And let's go 3/16, 1875. Good. Now once I have that in there, I can go through and just click in some random places to kind of create a bit of a snow effect. And then what I'll do is I'll make some of these circles look like snowflakes a little bit. I'll show you how to do that. All right, and then I'm going to take an ellipse. Let's zoom into one of these circles, and I'm going to take an ellipse. And Control C, Control V, and I'm going to hit the number 9 key twice. And on those two shapes, I'm going to weld them together. So kind of like this. And then on these two shapes, I'll weld them together. Okay, to create that little, kind of like a little star shape. And then I'll hold down the Control key and just randomly pick, and I can snap. Holding that Control key down, I can randomly pick a few of these. Every so often, I can throw them in there. And then, of course, I can go in on the circles and hit the, delete the circles. Don't forget to go back and do that. And so, all I'm doing is just kind of giving the illusion of like a little snowfall with some little snowflakes and stuff. Again, hold down the control, grab it in the center, hold down the Control key, and I can snap to the center of a couple of these circular shapes. And I missed that one completely. let's pop that over there. And then just get rid of the circles. Right? So, all right, so we've got that. Just some random pattern stuff there. Now, once again, taking the Christmas, the little stars and shapes. Oops. Hold on. Let's do that again. Christmas and those little snowflakes. And that pattern, that offset pattern that was created. Hold your shift key down, not your cap lock. There we go. V-carve toolpath. Flat depth, 1/8 of an inch, 60-degree V-bit. Rinse and repeat on these patterns. Just rinse and repeat. Reset the preview. Preview the visible toolpath. So now on here, this kind of has this kind of cloud look, right? This cloud effect right here, almost. And then we can put that, pattern back into play. Let's select that pattern. V-carve toolpath. Calculate. All right. Let's take a second. We'll see the end result, but let's figure out what these overlaps and everything are. Let's go to the vector validator. And in the vector validator, let's search the selected and let it search those vectors. And let's come down, and where those overlaps are, it's showing on those shapes that I did not trim properly. One there. And then we have a little bit of an overlap between this line here. So that's all the warning that we were getting. So on this, I'll just pull this out here and here. So we don't need to do anything more with that. And then over here, where that overlap is, I can simply delete it, or I'll just connect it. Okay. All right. Once again, let's go back. Select that object. Bear with me. And calculate. This time we should not have any errors or anything. Here comes the final pattern. Preview the visible toolpath. And then we'll do the profile cut as well. Preview the visible toolpath. And of course, this pattern would look much better if I didn't have my big voids right there at the bottom. And that's because I deleted some shapes instead of trimming them, you know, where these big black voids and everything are. But, you know, this could be kind of like a little disc with like a little doily, you know, lace pattern or something underneath. And you can see those little stars and those little snowflakes and everything. Just a random pattern. And again, could be an ornament, could be a door hanger, could be anything, right? All right, everybody. Well, hopefully this might give you a little bit of inspiration. Cool things don't take a whole lot to work. You know, we're dealing with silhouettes. This is a pine tree vector and a star. Drew the star, trimmed the two together to create this little Christmas tree effect. Lace pattern vectors. That's the search term. Lace pattern vectors. You know, reindeer vector. The text, we create the text, you know. Christmas bear vector. These are search terms on Google, and you can find these coloring book pages and things. Sign up, set up an account. You know, you can usually find them on free downloads as well too. You know, we drew our light bulbs. Someone thought they were a pair of socks, but hey, they're light bulbs. And we drew the line to kind of connect them, the illusion of them connected. Now, of course, the second ones weren't connected, but that's okay. It's part of the illusion. And then we just connected it to the Christmas, right? So just to give it another effect. Simple shapes, simple text, simple layouts. But when painted and everything, could look really, really cool. Now, there is a YouTuber, and I'll give him a shout out because I'm going to show his video. Give me just a second. His wife did a wonderful job painting. Bear with me just a moment. Painting their little reindeer welcome sign. And he showed in his video, it's a good video, go watch it, 5 very cool Christmas projects that you can make. Give me just a moment. YouTube.com. Five Christmas projects. History. 5 CNC Christmas projects you must try by Andy DeBirds. Let me mute this. Andy Bird Builds. Let's skip the commercial. Pause. Andy Bird Builds. Great. He's got a good channel. So give him some love. Because I'm just going to show his example. Now, he did 5 projects that that you can make, and one of them is this welcome sign right here. You see the reindeer. He has a Christmas reindeer that has the balls on the end of the horns and everything. But you see the welcome sign that they made, kind of a door hanger, and he's got one of those Christmas door hooks that you hang wreaths on. So that's how they hung it. That was a good idea. But he used MDF, and again, if it's going to be an outdoor project where it could get wet, MDF, you might want to try it another way. But you see that the reindeer out sparkled. Well, basically, his wife, after they cut him off, she did she painted a gray slate in the background, did glitter for the finished product, and it really gives a nice glittery effect, right? Depending on what color glitter you use. But Andy Bird Builds. Check out this video. It's called 5 CNC Christmas Projects You Must Try, and he's got the files available too as well. That you can available for download and stuff. Give him some love, yeah. So that's kind of a thing. You see that, and the glitter, it's pretty cool, right? That's one concept and stuff. So Andy, great job to you and your wife, and all that cool stuff. So, just to give you a visual, because some people are visual and everything, but it could be a Christmas tree, it could be a reindeer, it could be, two candy canes crossed together, it could be whatever, right? It could be this circle with these carvings and stuff. It doesn't take a whole lot to come up with some pretty cool creative projects and all. And this could be a solid panel. You can make it out of plywood, you can make it out of solid wood. Solid wood if you're going to be hanging it outdoors like it's going to get wet. White oak is good for that, cedar. But if you're going to paint it, and all, then don't use, good cedar or something like that. Use like poplar, and paint it, but put a finish on it. Exterior paint, things like that. So it can hold up during the weather and all. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we will take one last look at I like the bear one, so we'll look at that one last time as we say our goodbyes. Let's preview the visible toolpaths, and let's double click on these waste areas. Have a Merry Christmas. And we will, the next free class will be, not this coming Tuesday, but next Tuesday, in December. I want to thank all my super chatters. So Midnight Sunwood, thank you very much for that. And Kool-Aid, thank you very much as well. You two gentlemen, I appreciate the super chats. I want to thank my my paid members as well. And if you're new to the channel and you want perks and everything, access to a private club, if you will, a private group on Facebook, where you have access to all kinds of files and stuff that I provide, or if you you want early access to content that I release, be able to work with me one-on-one on things like that. We do live classes every Wednesday night. That is our paid memberships. There's gold and silver memberships. And I want to thank my members. Let's go back here. I have a new card there. But I want to thank my paid members and everything as I say goodbye. Each and every one of you that are on the list are silver or gold members. I appreciate you. That support really helps out every month. So keep that up. And if you want to become a supporting member of Spindle TV, you like what you see here and you want more behind the scenes and more access and stuff, just click the join button on the channel page, the home page of the channel, and check it out, see what it's all about, and see if it's something for you. It really helps us out over here on my end with being able to create free content for you guys. Free with your support, right, to continue to to be able to do this and everything, but also to give you that behind the scenes stuff. All right, everybody, with that being said, I want to thank you all, and I want you all to have a wonderful week. And what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to do this. Have a wonderful week, and the rest of your week, this week and next week and everything. We'll see you not this coming Wednesday or Tuesday, but this next Wednesday, this next following Tuesday. But the Tuesday after, we'll see you there for our next class. And then paid members, we'll see you tomorrow night. We're going to do rotary design. So we're going to talk about rotary design tomorrow night, members only class. So see you there at 7:30. And until next time, everyone, hope you enjoyed tonight's class. Hope you take something, a small something from it, and use it in your other projects if you need to. But hopefully you get something from this, and you enjoyed it. I appreciate you all. Y'all have a wonderful night.